And this is film 4.
What is your project about?
Well, my project is a music video about the floods, just showing like experiences and things people can relate to and what happened last July, I think it was.
I work with Miles on this project. He's not very good at timekeeping, but here's our music video. I hope you enjoy it.
If it hasn't happened to you, you cannot begin to understand what it is like. People should realise what it does to you and to your peace of mind.
That was where it breached first, and then once it started, it was coming through. It was very, very quick. I think when it did breach, everybody was very flat, and quite a few people cried. It was very emotional, actually. It was because we'd worked so hard to lose. Didn't seem fair, really. You know, the fact that the water came in, well, that's just a fact of life, and that's nature.
And when we did flood, and there was that sort of down feeling, and retired to the neighbour's garden, we're in very sort of terribly British. We had cake, tea, sandwiches and beer.
So, that was it.
I got airlifted and it was scary because when you looked down it was going all like that because of the wind and the water was going all up and it was scary and I was crying and I was on telly.
The main people doing as much work as they could were the fire crews, and I pay great respect for the work that the fire crews did. We got some sleep that night, but when we got up, the fire crews were still working out here.
This is the floodgate that we thought was going to be adequate. Quite often during the winter we get it up to about this height. None of us worry about that, but in 2007, of course, it came up over the top of the gate about this height. We haven't touched any of this since a year ago.
I think people realised at the end of it that our world was a bit more fragile than they thought it was, even down to the fact of, so this one pipe brings water into Gloucestershire. Yeah, one pipe. There isn't a spare one. No, there isn't a spare one. Actually, the world's a little less secure than perhaps we thought it was a year ago.
Power of nature is beautiful when you think about it, but frightening. Safe and secure in your homes, that's what I like. And I'm not leaving this house. This house is secure. I'm not leaving it.
I think for me, the story has never gone away, and that's one of the biggest things. It's when do you as a journalist decide it's newsworthy? And you could argue it's newsworthy nearly every single day since the floods. The problem is, I think there was some flood fatigue out there. If you didn't suffer during the floods, the last thing you want to hear every single day is a flood story.
The news of the flooding spreads, and in a place like Bourton-on-the-Water, which relies very substantially on tourism, the bad news of the flooding travels much more quickly than the good news of the recovery. Recovery isn't newsworthy. 2 foot of water is.
There is a tremendous amount you can do yourself if the geography's right. There is a lot that people can do to help themselves. And I think this what are they going to do about it attitude is just a little too prevalent at the moment.
We hope lessons have been learnt and the necessary steps taken
to ensure that future flooding does not happen to the same extent again.
That's it from the Gloucestershire Flooding Project. Bye!
Anyone going to say goodbye?
Oh, we